everyone and welcome to our channel AKU Explanation. This is our part 3 of Matter in Our Surrounding, and I hope that before starting with part 3 you must have watched part 1 and part 2. In part 2 I told you regarding rigidity, fluidity and characteristics of particles. In this part, in part 3, I am going to start with classification of matter as solids, liquids and gases. Here I have drawn up chart for you where I have given a brief differentiation between solids, liquids and gases. So in first point I have written below solids that they have fixed shape and fixed volume. Any shape, solid shape, just for example I have written here ball, it is going to have a fixed volume anywhere you put this ball and a fixed shape also. The shape is sphere and the volume of a sphere is 4 by 3 pi r cube. So this volume is going to remain every place same. In liquids they also have fixed volume but they do not have fixed shape. In liquids you know that if you have 1 liter of any liquid, let us take as example of H2O. If you have water, 1 liter of water, you put it in a cylindrical beaker or a conical beaker or any shape of a beaker. Just here I have drawn a random shape. So if you pour this 1 liter of water in any kind of these shape, this water is going to occupy only and only 1 liter of the volume in every kind of pots. Gases, they do not have fixed shape. You know that all around you have gases. What gases? You have H2, you have O2, you have N2. All these gases, they do not have fixed shape. They just are randomly moving, nor they do not have fixed volume. Even if you put them in a cylindrical, conical or any kind of a beaker, they are going to occupy all the space which is present in these beakers. So they do not have fixed shape, neither fixed volume. Solids cannot be compressed much. If you have a ball, if you are applying force on it, do you think that ball will be compressed? Yes, of course it will be compressed, but to a very small limit. And if you apply a lot of force on this, then this ball may burst and the shape of this ball will be changed. Liquids cannot be compressed much. Same as solids, they also cannot be compressed much. In gases, they can be compressed easily. Of course, if you put your hands like this and just make a wrist, you know that gases are there around you, right? CO2, O2, all these gases are there and they are easily compressible. Third point between, you can give, you see here, you have a very great example here, that is LPG. What is LPG? Liquefied petroleum gas. It is liquid, at a very high pressure, this gas is compressed so that it can be used. Solids have high density, heavy. They have very high density because the particles of solids are very closely packed. So they will be having a lot of density. And in liquids, they have a moderate to high density. That means they have in between solids and gases, liquids are going to have in between density, but less than solids. Gases, they have very, very low density and they are considered lightweight. They have very light weight. But solids, they have heavy weight. Gases are always around you. Are you feeling any kind of weight on you when gases are there? No. Why? Because their weight is very light. In fourth point I have written, do not fill their container completely. Here you see the example which I took of a ball. If you put this ball in a cylindrical vessel, the ball is going to occupy only this much space. Is the whole volume of the container filled? No. The sphere is going to only occupy the space which it has. In liquids also, if you have a fixed amount of liquid, 1 liter, if you put this water in a 2 liter of beaker, is it going to occupy a whole space? No, it is going to only occupy the amount of space which it has fixed. Fourth point, in gases, fill their container completely. Yes, I told you earlier also that if you put any gas in any kind of a container, the gas is going to fill the container completely at each and every space. Fifth point, do not flow. Solids, since they do not have the property of fluidity, I told you in the last video that only liquids and gases have the property of fluidity. So only liquids and gases can flow easily, but not solids. Okay, so now our chapter matter in our surrounding, in that chapter solids, liquids and gases is over. Moving ahead with a bit different topic of this chapter, that is the common unit of temperature and SI unit of temperature. Now we are going to deal with temperature. Temperature, you all know that it is counted, or it is quantified at Celsius scale of temperature. Okay, and common unit of measuring temperature is degree Celsius. You all know this. 100 degrees Celsius. You must have heard this degree a lot of time. Melting point of ice is 0 degrees Celsius. Here I have given you two examples through which you can understand that you use these words very often in your life. Melting point of ice is 0 degrees Celsius. Boiling point of water is 100 degrees Celsius. Here something I have written in bracket, that is 0 degrees Celsius can also be written as 273. K means Kelvin. The way you have Celsius as a measuring temperature, similarly you have Kelvin also for measuring temperature. You know that meter, it measures length. Okay, similarly centimeter, it also measures length, but they have different values. Similarly in temperature also we have Celsius, Kelvin, also we have Fahrenheit, but all these things you will get in higher classes, but for this class you will have to learn Kelvin. Boiling point of water is 100 degrees Celsius, which is in Kelvin written as 373 Kelvin. Now what is the formula through which we can convert a degree Celsius to Kelvin or a Kelvin to degree Celsius? This is a formula which I have written. Temperature on Kelvin scale is equals to temperature on Celsius scale plus 273. This is a very important formula. You often get a lot of questions in your exams regarding this formula, and the usage of this formula is very easy. And before going ahead with the next topic, I will like to give you some problems on this formula so that you could understand this formula easily. Here I have two questions for you, so let us begin. So in first question it is written, convert the temperature of 25 degrees Celsius to the Kelvin scale. Solution given. Your temperature given on Celsius scale is what? 25 degrees Celsius, and you need to convert it to Kelvin scale. Okay, so in last page I told you the formula. What was it? Temperature on Kelvin scale is equals to temperature on Celsius scale plus 273. So temperature on Kelvin scale we need to find out. So let us write here K is equals to temperature on Celsius scale is given what? 25 plus 273. K is equals to, you add this 273 and 25, 892. This is 298 Kelvin. This means what? On Celsius scale, if you are having 25 degrees Celsius, so on Kelvin scale you will be having 298 Kelvin. That means these two temperatures are equal. The amount of heat, the amount of temperature which you are going to feel at both these values will be same, but only the difference is the scale is different. So I hope you understand this question. Now let's move on to the next question. Here it is written that convert the temperature of 300 Kelvin to the Celsius scale. So in solution, what is given here? (300 Kelvin). So here you see you are given the value of on Kelvin scale, not on degree Celsius. In last question you had on degree Celsius, but here you have on Kelvin scale. And what we need to find? We need to find the temperature on degree Celsius. Let us write the formula again. Remember to write the formula in your exam every time you solve a new question, because you always have a marks, half marks or 1 marks for the formula, and it is very important. Or you see here that I'm writing a very big formula. If you can write this like this also, degree Celsius plus 273. This is a short form of this formula, so you must remember this one and always write this formula before starting your solution. So we need k is given here in the question. So 300 is equals to degree Celsius, we need to find out, and 273. Degree Celsius is equals to, when you bring this 273 here, it will become what? Minus 273, right? Is equals to, you got 27 degrees Celsius. When you do this calculation, you are going to get 27 degrees Celsius. This means that when you are having a temperature of 300 degree Kelvin on a Kelvin scale, then on degree Celsius scale you will be having 27 degrees Celsius. That means these two temperatures are same, but only difference is that their scale is different. This is Kelvin and this is Celsius. So that's all for today. Thank you, and let's meet in the next video.